Good morning, Jill here, and today I'm going to walk you through making some glassine bags. Now, these came about in a funny way, but out of necessity, and I'll explain that in a minute. But before we get going, let me show you, these are a few that I've made. I'll bring these back at the end so that we can take a closer look at them, but in the meantime, while I'm pulling out some things, I hope you're all doing well. I want to thank you all for your likes, your follows, subscribing, the whole drill. It's been so wonderful, and I truly appreciate it. And I hope you're having a good day today, and I thank you for coming along with me on this little journey today while we make glassine bags. Well, let me tell you, I don't know where you live. If you walk into your craft store, you walk into a craft store where they have baking supplies, bakery supplies like glassine bags, and there you go. You go online, I suppose, and get them, but I ran down to the store, can't ever find them. They don't have any in stock. And I thought, you know what, I think I'm gonna try my hand at just making my own. So I decided to print on tracing paper. Now, let me jump up just 1 minute so I can get my paper and show you what I have. Sorry, Evan. Okay, I have just regular tracing paper that you can buy at your local craft store, art shop, whatever, and it's just plain tracing paper like this. Now it does have a bit of a smooth edge on it, and I wondered, how am I going to fix that? So before I go on, let me say that there's a lot of videos out there that explain how to print onto tracing paper, because if you don't make certain settings in your printer, the ink can smear when you rub on it, or it rubs against something, and you don't want that to happen. So I took my tracing paper, loaded my printer, and went back and thought, okay, I'm going to use photo glossy paper selection on my printer. I printed one out and it came out perfect. Now I did have to set it aside to dry, and it took maybe 5 minutes, maybe less, to dry. And then I tested it for if it was going to bleed and smear, and it did not. I was thrilled. So then here we go. So now I thought I can make my own glassine bags. Now, if I wanted a plain one, I could make it just out of the tracing paper, right? It looks very much like a glassine bag, doesn't it? And it's crinkly like a glassine bag. Probably doesn't have that waxy feel. And if you want to know the truth, I don't miss that waxy feel because I'm not sure how much I like it, but I do like the use of glassine bags in journals. So I don't measure for this. I have a couple other variations on different paper over here I'll show you in a minute, but we'll make 2 of these and then we'll come back. Let's start with this one. This image is from the public domain, and I'm going to make it into a glassine bag. So where are the ones I set aside? Okay, I might need it for reference because I might not remember how I did it. Okay, I'm going to turn it upside down. And this is directional paper. I want this to be the top of my bag. This is the bottom of my bag. So that means these 2 sides are going to roll around to the back. So we're going to flip it over. And I like mine meeting in the middle. Now, yours don't have to meet in the middle. They can meet anywhere you like, and mine don't have to be exactly in the middle, but I want just a little bit of overlap. And of course, I'm not a straight cutter, so when I cut these, they're not perfect, and that's okay. And I think that's wide enough for my bag. Let's take a look. Yes, that'll be wide enough for my bag. And is that straight? Oh, it's not too bad. Okay, so 2 folds, right? Easy as can be. All right, now we're going to take the bottom. I am not gluing anything yet, and fold it up. Here's where you can adjust if you have no printing on the bottom or whatever. You can adjust the height of your bag by adding or taking away. I usually look at the front and see what I want to be able to see before I fold that back up. And so there's the back folded up. Now the next thing we're going to start cutting, but I have something to do first. Let's cut the bottom first, okay? Now, excuse me. For the cutting, I use pinking shears, but you could use those decorative edge scissors that they have, and that would be fine as well. But I use these because it tends to work well for me. So the first thing I'm going to do is seal this up, and I want this edge to be rough. So we'll just cut it along there, and I'm not too worried about how straight that is. Now, I do not want this corner. Let me get my pen. I can show you better with my pen. This corner and this corner. We're going to remove those. Now I'm going to cut. Let me get my bigger scissors, just 1 minute, and I'll show you. And it's kind of hard to see on the tracing paper, but I'm going to cut just to the right of that fold mark. And I'm going to miter my edge. You can see there. I'm going to go in at an angle. I'm going to miter my edge. So it's going to look like this. And I'm sure you can see that after you get done cutting that edge. And we're going to do the same thing over here. These are so easy. And because you print on them, you don't really have to decorate them if you don't want to, like I have done. Okay. So that is going to go like so. Right? Isn't that nice? And then you can see how that's going to be nice and jagged on that edge there. I'm going to put that edge over the top of that. Now for the top, this is interesting from my perspective. From the top, I want the back to be taller. Let me grab one here. I'll grab this little one. You can see I want the back to be, let me see. I want the back to be taller and the front to be shorter. And I also want to have a little kind of a scooped edge there. So how to do that? Well, first of all, it's best to do it when you're not, when you don't have any gluing done first. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off a little bit off the top, and that'll give me my overall jagged edge, as you can see there, for the very top of the bag, right? Can you see that there? Okay. Maybe if I had a white piece of paper underneath there, you could see it better. There you go. Okay. Now, to get the curved edge on the front part, that would mean, since this is my front, I want the curve to go here, and then these two back pieces will be taller. So I have you could use anything round. You could use a plate, you could use a cup, you know, anything that's round, a coaster, anything like that. And I lay it here, and if you notice, that's where my fold is, and my other fold is over there. I'm going to lose some of my writing I see here, but it doesn't matter. And I'm just going to trace this edge here. And there you have it. Okay. I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm going to cut. Now, here's my fold line. I don't want to cut that fold line, so I'm going to cut just inside that fold line, around my little template line there. And let's see what we've got. Now, that line is on the inside, so you're not going to see it. Now we're going to fold it all back up again and take a look. Oh, oops, I guess it is on the outside. I should have turned that over. But we're going to go back in and take a little more off. Oh, I know why. Because the paper's so thin, it actually came through. Lesson, use pencil. Then you can erase it. Okay. So that's going to be my bag. So this is what you this is what you have before you fold. Okay. So sorry, my camera fell out of the folder up there. So this is what you have when you get done with the cutting. Now it's time to glue. And you can use whatever kind of glue you like. Sometimes I use double-sided tape, sometimes I use glue. For today, let's see how my glue's holding up. I'm getting my little sticky pin here. Make sure my glue is not clogged up. That looks pretty good. Hopefully it comes out like it's supposed to. And I'm going to go right along this edge here, and you can go clear up to the top, clear to the bottom. And then you want to burnish that down. Okay, there's that one. Now this one, you want to go around the outer edge of this, seal up your bag. And honestly, this is all there is to it. Now go figure. Here I was for I don't know how long. I could have probably ordered and had them here in the length of time I was fussing about them not being in stock everywhere I went. But some days, you know, I told my husband, it's just easier to order online because you're not driving all over looking for something. Now, the other thing I like to do, and you certainly don't have to do this, but I like to take these corner nubbins off. Just take a little snip, and there's that. And here's your glassine bag, all ready for something to go inside of it. Do I have a tag? I do have a tag. Let's see. Come on. There you go. And there's your bag. Now you can embellish on the front if you like, whatever you want to do, and that's what I've done on some of these others that I showed you. So before we get into any of that, let's just do another one. And let's say I'm going to use this paper here. Oh, that's a nice piece of scrap paper. I'm going to use this piece of paper here, and if you don't want the middle of your paper to be the front of your bag, which I like to fold by papering kind of, you know, toward the middle, but let's say you did not want this image to be the front of your bag, then you don't have to put your seam in the middle. You could have your bag be like this. Excuse me 1 minute while I show you. And it would be like that. I kind of like that. Put the flowers on the back. Maybe we'll do that with this one. And do I want to take, no, we'll leave that there. Okay. So if I want that to happen, I'm going to put this over here, and I want the flowers on the back this time. Okay. So let's fold that. That'll be the back. Remember, we do our folding first, and then our cutting, and last our gluing. And we want this to be to the back so that, let's be sure our front looks, yeah, so that's our front. Beautiful. Okay. Now, quiz time, quiz time. What's the next step? If you said folding up the bottom, you're absolutely right. Let's fold up the bottom. There we go. Fold. Miter. Snip out this corner. Miter your corner, just a little at an angle up to the point where the folds meet. Take this one out so that you don't want that score line on your bag. You want the score line on the piece you cut off. There we go. And catching up, we are going to use my pinking shears to create our jagged bottom of the bag. Test. Make sure everything's going to close up properly. There we go. You should see some of the beautiful bags out on, go to Pinterest, go to YouTube. I'm sure I'm not the best at explaining what I'm doing, but go take a look. Okay, now I'm gonna snip the top off, just enough to create that jagged edge again. Love that, love that. Open the bag up. For someone like me who can't wait to see the finished product, I think I've explained that to some of you, or on some of my other videos, where sometimes I'm in such a hurry to see the finished product that I start gluing or something before I should, and then I end up with a problem. But with these, I found out if you do all of this first, the bag just comes together so easily that I wouldn't do it any other way now. Let's see, did that line come through? Not so much, because I used a pencil this time. So learn from my mistakes, folks. It's helpful. There's a lot of crafters out there that I watch, and I certainly learn. But one thing you'll find on my channel, if I make a mistake, you're going to see it. Then you're going to see if I get frustrated with my mistake, how I go about fixing it, or if I get frustrated and decide I'm going to have to use the materials that I messed up for a different project. Okay, now before we glue, we want to look and see. Can you see that? Beautiful edge on the back. Okay, let's get to gluing this down now. Do we want that on the front or this on the front? I like that leaf. I like that leaf there. Okay. I think I'm going to glue it toward the center, though. I don't know why. I just decided that's how I'm going to do it. Now remember, this glue goes clear from the top edge down to the bottom. So your seam on the back is glued from the top edge down to the bottom, and you don't want to don't glue your bag shut. There we go. Let me just make sure I didn't glue my bag shut. Okay, that's good. You can see my roller coming out from the bottom. Perfect. Fold it back over. Glue along this very edge. A little bit on the sides. I get too much glue sometimes. And sometimes, like I said, I use double-sided tape on these, depending on what I might put in them. And close up my glue. These are so easy to make. I hope you love them. I hope you love them. I hope you make a bunch of them, and I hope that you share and show us what yours look like. I take my little corners off. They're a little too pointy for me. And there I have my next bag. Where is my tag? This one could hold a little booklet. They can hold booklets, they can hold tags, they can hold a lot of ephemera pieces. How cute is that? Okay, there's that one. Now, and here's this one. So these are made out of tracing paper, printed. I have an Epson printer, and set your printer on photo paper glossy, and your ink should not run. Hopefully your printer allows you to change that setting. And they print beautifully, and there you'll be off to a great start. Let me set these aside, and I have some plain paper here, and I just printed out some digitals that I had, and I thought if you like, we'll make a couple of, they won't be glassine bags, but we'll make a couple of bags out of these. So just to carry on, you can use, actually I use digitals to print the tracing paper. Those are some of my digitals I have gotten from some of the makers out on Etsy. And whoops, I think I was off. I don't know, was I off screen? My goodness. Today it's morning here right now, and it's already so hot. But I just love being in my craft room. My craft room, the name of my shop is Everland by Jill, and I have a story about that I'll share with you sometime about Everland by Jill. And, how I came about that name. But you'll find as you get to know me, I name a lot of things. And what do I mean by that? I name portions of my backyard. I had, for example, I had 4 little dogs, and 2 of them were quite old when I decided to add 2 more, because I was afraid I was going to lose the 2 older ones. And I wanted some more energy in the house and such, so I got 2 more. Well, my backyard turned into my barkyard. And that's one of the ways I named my backyard Barkyard. Funny, because every time I talk about the barkyard needs mowed, or the barkyard needs this or that, my husband knows exactly what I'm talking about. He's so funny. Okay, so you're not going to see through these, but we're going to use the same concept. And I guess I need to decide if I want it to be that wide. Let me see. This is, okay. You can see I printed this on graph paper. Can you see that? So I printed this on graph paper, and even though this part of the digital had a graph design on part of it, it still came out really nice. So that could go nicely into a journal just like that. That's a pretty back, isn't it? Okay, let's try to fold these straight, because I don't know if I cut straight, but you know. Okay, so there's those. There's that. Remember, up on the bottom, cut your corners out. Where's my pen? Cut just the other side, and it's hard to see on this paper, but it is right about there. You can always, if you run into the fold, and the fold is, you can feel that folded edge there, you can always snip that off. Same over here. miter this corner, trim, decorative edge scissors, make your edge. I was thinking you could probably use your edge punch and make a really pretty edge on those. Those would be kind of a different angle to the whole thing. Okay, that looks good. That's kind of squarish. Not too shabby. I will have to even up the top. Sometimes it's a shame to lose the middle of the top, but if you have a blank or something you don't care about on the top, that would make a difference. And pencil this time. Now you don't have to do this. You could just cut, I'll show you before I cut this. You could just glue all this together and then come in here and get your scissors in there and cut a curve. That would be fine. But I found it cumbersome. I did try it. It does work, but it's cumbersome trying to get your scissors in there and cut a nice curve while your bag is shut. So I preferred to do it this way. And when I looked at it and saw now you can see the inside of the paper shows. So if you have a pretty double-sided paper, you would see the other side here. How nice is that? That doesn't look very straight, but it measures pretty straight. Okay. 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 We're going to put this one on top, so I'm going to put the glue along this edge here. A little strip of glue. I don't worry about a 1/4 inch overlap on about a 1/4 inch overlap on the back or wherever you put your seam is good for me. So if that's good for you, use about a 1/4 inch. You could round these corners with those corners with a corner rounder. I don't think I will. I think I'll just cut these nubbins off. And there's that one. Isn't that pretty? And again, put your ephemera, whatever, inside of there. Now I think we're going to make short ones. So let's cut part of this off. I'm just going to guesstimate, and since this is going to be the top, if I cut along here with my pinking shears, I won't have to cut the top of the front later. There, see? Okay. Folding. Ooh, let's keep the flower. And do we want it to be that wide? Maybe we want it a little narrower. Let's make it a little narrower. I love that rose. Let's see what that looks like. Yes, that's pretty. Maybe I could have kept that yellow rose to the front, but I like it like that. Okay. Cut the bottom. Love, love, love. Okay. Fold the bottom up. Now you could fold it up a 1/4 inch, a 1/2 inch, whatever you feel like you want it to be. That's fine. Remember, you're going to lose these corners on the inside, so that's good. You get rid of some of the layers of paper that causes your journals to get very thick fast. So if you're looking at a 2-inch spine and you start putting a lot of thick papers and thick ephemera pieces in, of course your journal's going to be bigger than a 2-inch spine can hold. So cut these away. Remember, miter on your corners. Let me explain the mitering. It's not hard to understand. The reason we miter is when you fold these up, you do not want this particular edge to crash into that fold there, nor this edge to crash into this fold here. So if you miter those edges just a little bit, and on this one I didn't do it quite enough, that won't happen, and your folded items will lay flatter, look nicer, and those edges will be done much nicer. Okay, laying it down to get my circle drawn, my semicircle. We'll make just a small semicircle this time, since my bag is not going to be as tall. I don't really want as long as big of an curved opening as I have on some of the others. We'll just make this one a little narrower. And I notice I'm cutting right up to that fold. And that's so that I have the curve right in the middle. And when these fold over, there, that's what you have. So gluing, and then we'll take a look at what we've got. And I love that pink flower on the front. So that's staying there. Love that. Love, love. Put some glue right there. Put some glue right here. The only reason I'm putting glue both places this time is because this is overlapping a little farther. So I wanted to glue at the back there, and I want to glue at the edge of this paper here. Too much explanation. Jill, too much explanation. You crafters are way ahead of me on this stuff. Oh my. Okay. Glue the bottom up. Bags are done. We made 4 in this little short video. Now you could ink these up and decorate them. How pretty cute are they? Take a look at those. Made out of digitals, printed onto just graph paper. You could use double-sided, any kind of paper. You could use tea-dyed paper, and then you'd have tea-dye color here, and here in the front would be plain. You could use your tracing paper, pick out your favorite digitals, and create your bags out of printed tracing paper. How pretty are those? Let's go back to some that I have embellished a little bit. This is printed tracing paper with just a touch of lace on there, which I love also. Let me see what maybe I could use. I don't know if it'll fit. No, it won't fit, but yeah. You know, isn't that the way, right? When you want something to fit, it's not going to fit. Okay, and this isn't going to fit either, but you'll have a better idea. There you go. Look how cute that is. With a little bit of lace on there. Then I had this one that would take a narrow tag. Beautiful narrow tag. I add a little bit of embellishment here on the front, and I wrapped it twice with some wonderful hand-dyed yarn. And then on the back, because I didn't want this yarn to be slipping off. I didn't want it to be removable. So on the back of this cute bag, I stuck one of my wax seals, and it holds it very nicely. So now this bag is all ready for to hold something beautiful. And then this bag is a wider bag, so I can put my tag in there, I suppose, to show you what did I do with it? Yeah, I don't think my tag will fit in there now. So, and here's my other bag. I love this paper, this digital that I printed this on. The back is plain because the print really makes the statement on the back. And then I added a piece of lace, a piece of textured cloth, that netting, and then a pretty scripted flower on the front. And look how pretty that is. That would make a really pretty, fill it up with things and put it as a journal topper on top of your journal. So my friends, here you have it. And I thank you so much for joining me today. I will decorate these other ones offline and I will post some pictures on Instagram, and you could see the finished products. I appreciate your time today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please go have a wonderful day. Do something you love. And until the next time.